Ro.
Hi, Maddie.
It's happening.
It is happening.
We're figuring it out,
I know this was so long overdue,
right?
and I'm so excited we're finally
Yeah.
here.
When did we decide that we wanted to do this podcast?
Honestly, a while ago.
Yes.
It was a long time making, but I feel like everything aligned for us to have the perfect podcast for you.
No, honestly, it's been a journey
Yes,
from but I think that we made it.
we
Everything
made
happened
it.
for a reason.
Yeah. And we want to thank our listeners for tuning in and also for participating in our surveys and helping us create, the perfect podcast for you, right? Like,
Definitely.
thank you for tuning into our first episode.
Yes. I'm excited.
I'm super excited and I'm excited about the topic. You want to talk a little bit about what it is?
Yes. So guys, Willen and I, we are Haitian, and we thought that this is our foundation. This is what makes us us,
Mm-hmm.
being raised in Haiti, born
Yes.
Haitian, from Haitian Caribbean parents.
Yes.
So we thought that that would be a great start
For
for
us,
us.
yes. We were, so did we say what our first topic is? Our first episode is about Haitian parenting, and growing up in Haiti, being raised by Haitian parent. Like this was a great start. It covers our heritage, where we came from. We're both Haitian. We're proud Haitians. Just I think like at first, like we should probably start by saying why we started this podcast, and I feel like it will make so much more sense as to why we
Definitely.
chose to have this be our first topic. But first, should we tell them a little bit about who we are and why we started this podcast? So do you want
A
to
hundred
start?
percent. Well, I'm Maddie. I am 31.
Okay.
I live in Manhattan. I'm in Harlem.
Okay, city
I
girl.
am definitely a city girl. I'm a property accountant.
Yes,
Um,
boss.
fun fact about me.
What is it? Yeah, what is a fun fact about you, Maddie? I
Listen,
can't wait to hear this because Maddie is such an interesting person.
there's so many fun facts. Oh wait, let's be honest. I'm a city girl, so I love spending money. I think there's an art.
Katasa.
I think there's an art in spending
It is
money.
definitely an art. Like this is something where honestly I'm more like of a frugal person. I'm very particular about how I spend my money, but Maddie is
It will come back. The
yeah.
more I spend, it comes back. So I
She
guess
just believes in spending money. She doesn't want to inconvenience herself about anything. And
no.
yeah. Okay.
What about you, Ro? Tell us about you.
So yeah, I'm Ro. I am an engineer.
Mm,
Uh,
women in STEM.
a woman in STEM. To all my girlies out there, the Black women doing it. Yay! I live in Brooklyn right
Mm.
now, and me and Maddie were always having this discourse about which borough is better. So let us know in the comments which borough you think is better, because I think it's Brooklyn.
Manhattan.
I think it's Brooklyn. And what else? A fun
Fun
fact
fact.
about me. I have recently started taking traditional Haitian drum classes.
I love it.
So I love dancing folklore, and my teacher kind of got me into it, and I got to drum for an entire folklore class. And it was just so amazing. I didn't think I could do it, but my teacher believed in me, and it was so it was amazing, and it was the best experience ever. And one of my goals this year is to um drum for at one of our shows, because we have a show every year. Hopefully some of you guys will come and see me dance at some point.
Oh my God, definitely. I think that's amazing because, guys, again, this will be a subject that will come later in the podcast because are we alone or do we need a hobby? And I think that being single in New York City and being in our early 30s, especially where people around us are very about getting married and starting a family, having a hobby is very
It
important.
is.
And the fact that you
Yeah.
found something that you love and you enjoy,
Oh
because
my
I
gosh.
speak to her every day and she makes time to go to her
Yeah,
classes. So I think that's
I
amazing.
do go religiously. Like I think sometimes like Maddie's like, we need to do this on a Thursday. I'm like,
Mm-mm, my class.
this is this is my dance class day. So
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so why did we start this podcast? Do you want to go into it, or do
Okay.
you want me to go into it?
Okay. So today, obviously, we're filming. It's a very special day. So last year Ro and I would take long road trip to Boston because we had a close friend of ours that was very sick, and he is
Yes.
no longer with us today. But today it's his birthday, so I'm
I
just so
know this
happy.
was serendipitous because we really didn't plan this. We randomly was like, okay, Friday we have to get this done and
That's
let's do
yep,
it. And it just happened
and
to
to
be on
be his
his birthday. And we
birthday.
felt like it was such a great sign that this was meant to be. Don't you think
Exactly.
so?
No, I really think so.
Yeah.
And road trip, and instead of listening to music, we really started talking and diving into some
Some deep
deep conversation,
conversation.
and we were like, oh my god, this should be
I
recorded.
know.
And honestly, me, when I'm listening to podcasts, it's either people interviewing people who already made it, or
Mhm.
so I feel like people needed more Black women, early 30s, around our
Immigrants
age,
too.
immigrants,
Yeah.
yes, to see us talk about a struggle the way we see life now,
Yes.
and even younger,
Yeah.
like people in their mid 20s
Yeah.
getting into that
Yeah.
30s, era. That's very important. So I thought that there was a
There was a gap there. I think a
exactly,
lot of times, like when you're listening to podcasts, it's either like a lot of it is about gossip, which are the most popular ones, and or it's about like relationships where men are hating on women and women are hating on
yeah.
men. And we were so great. We were so validated. We felt so validated when we put a survey out there and you guys felt the same way we did. We were like, yes,
Yes,
this might
definitely.
actually work out.
It's good to gossip. It's good to talk about, but
Yes.
what
Hmm.
makes us us? What do we need today? And
Yes.
obviously, we need men. We need. It's fun to hear about crazy stories and laugh it out, but us
Yeah.
in general growing, we need to see people going about things, hearing things that sometimes, because there's so many times that there's things in my head and I'm worried a lot,
Hmm.
and then later on I talk to a friend and then it's like, oh my god, I didn't know you were
You're
going through
going
into
through this
this. and
too.
and sometimes you feel
Yes.
backed up to a corner, you're the only
Hmm.
one dealing with this. So I'm like,
Yes.
we also need help.
Yes, we do.
Putting aside the relationship, putting aside the gossip,
Yeah.
us, we need help, and we need to hear more Black women
Yeah.
in their 30s,
Yeah, and we also
growing.
wanted to highlight the Haitian experience too. I don't think there are a lot of podcasts out there, um, at least not much that I know of,
That
that
was
talk about the Haitian experience, like coming here as an immigrant and starting over and being a professional,
hmm
and kind of like debunking some of the things or unlearning some of the things that our parents kind of taught us or
hmm
living in Haiti taught us. So we're hoping that you guys can come on the journey with us, and we wanted to bring you guys into some of the conversations that we have that we've had during our road trip.
yes,
Okay, so before we get into it, I
yes.
think we have one question that we said that we wanted to ask each other. What is the most Haitian thing about you?
No, say yours first
No, I want to hear yours. Go on. Wait, why? I really need to hear
no,
it.
because it matches with what, because I was definitely judging yours.
Wait,
What's
what
your
was
fun
mine?
fact?
It's not a fun fact. It's like, what's the
Not
most
fun
Haitian
fact. Yeah,
thing?
what's
My
the most
most
Asian
Oh,
thing?
the most Haitian thing about me is that obsessed with I
Mm-hmm.
am obsessed with old Haitian jazz and ballads. Like I'm a big Manu Shalmain, Bito
Okay,
Baobab fan.
let me say
And
mine. Judgmental. Because I call Wolag and I'm like, what is going on?
no, she's such a hater. You know what? You know what? This is really your most Haitian thing. She
I'm,
is so judgmental. She's like, why are you listening to these things? Are
you
you
know,
old?
no, guys, okay. She can listen to it, but imagine, let's set it up. She hosted us for Thanksgiving. Next thing you know, which song it's playing? La persona, bye bye. Bye bye. And I'm like, what is going
No,
on?
but
Why are we
I listen, I just feel like sometimes I don't listen to the words. It's really more about the musicality, like the sound of the drums, the jazz and all of
I
that.
don't
Like
mind jazz, but like that particular song, right?
yeah, no, but Maddie is pretty judgmental. But you know what? I encourage it. I love it. I feel like that sometimes her judgment it comes from a place of love. I think it's
Definitely
really
place
because
of
you just
love.
want me to grow. And I take, you know what? People say I'm critical too.
Mm.
Oh,
Wow.
why did
Okay,
you
no, I'm sorry.
see
No.
judgment? This is a
But
judgmental thing
tragic,
we're talking
you
about.
said you're critical. What do you want me to say? No, you're not.
Oh my god. Okay, so let's reel it back in. Let's
Yeah.
talk about so I feel like should we get into the topic? I think like
Yes.
one of the things that I remember us talking a lot about like, or one of the conversations or subjects that I remember us having on our way to Boston when we would do our road trip was talking about how we were raised, our experience with our parents.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like one thing, I think like one of the topics that we discussed was Haitian parents not really telling their kids about their past experiences,
Yep.
because I feel like we both have that experience with our parents. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if you want to share yours first.
Hmm. I think one time I was really going through something here, and I called my dad and I told him like, "Oh, papi," because I was really setting up the playfield like to make sure I asked him about him so I can talk about my issue that I'm currently experiencing. And then I said, "Oh, papi, have you ever made a decision that you regret, and stuff like that, or have you ever made an error?" And then he
Hmm.
goes, "Moi, même pas j'en fais or pas
That's
j'en fais." And I was like, so guys, right at that moment, I felt like, what the fuck is happening, Maddie?
yeah.
Why do you, what you like? Because my dad is like, we're very close, and obviously you listen to everything your parents said. So right at that moment, I thought that okay, this is not normal to make this mistake at all in your
Hmm.
life. So why did I
Yeah.
even, you know, got myself in that situation? And
Yeah.
it really just brought me back, and that got me so depressed and I was not feeling well and all of that stuff. But Haitian parents, and there's so many other example, I think that they do not tell us about their past. Everybody
Hmm.
just had the best grade, everybody, they were the best kids,
I know.
and we were supposed to be we.
Just as perfect. My dad like was a pretty successful person, and I can only imagine if I felt like I was struggling,
Mm-hmm.
and then I came to you, I told you I'm struggling, you're telling me like, yeah, like no, I've
No,
never
you
had
know.
any issues. Like I would spiral because
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the thing. It's like that idea of perfection. I would feel like such a failure. Like, why is it that my parents always did it right? And I think we still see it today because we
Mm-hmm.
see our moms raise kids on their own and do it, and they never tell us how they failed or mistakes that they've made. And us, we're out here in our 20s doing having a lot of mistakes and failing sometimes, and we don't have an example of how to recover from that because our
Mm-hmm.
parents don't talk to us about that.
Exactly.
And I think that that's a very, yeah.
So I think that also us talking about being raised by Haitian and certain things they would do, it's
Hmm.
how we would change it nowadays and when we
Yeah.
have our own families and our own kids. And I really think that for me, I went to that conference, and then this lady, she said that when she comes home, she hugs her kids.
Hmm.
The longer the kids hold on to her means
Hmm.
that the longer that the kids needs her.
Oh,
And I thought that was so
I like
amazing because
that.
when you look at it, when you hug someone, you just go for it tightly
Yeah.
because you really need the person.
Yeah.
And I think that yes, I'm going to get mad at my kids. Yes, I'm going to think that sometime, why did you do this? But I
Hmm.
think that I really want to make sure that my kids know that anything that's going on, they go to mommy and daddy first. Mommy's gonna help
Yeah.
me get out of that
Get out of the
situation.
situation.
And
Yeah.
then later we can sit down and have a conversation and say, you see what happened? This necessarily needed to happen. And
Yeah.
you know,
So many things that you said there, like I feel like is lacking in the Haitian community. How many people like I know so many people who have told me that they've never been hugged by their parents, right? Like
mhm,
their parents have never told them I love you, and that's also a thing like in the Haitian community that's so major.
yeah.
I had one parent that was super affectionate and one that was like, oh, okay, like they showed me their love through actions.
Hmm.
And I think that's the thing in the Haitian community where a lot of Haitian parents think that they show you love through feeding you,
Hmm.
clothing you, giving you an education, and for them they feel like that is enough. And just like you saying that, like this parent was telling you that when she hugs her kid, or I don't know if it was a he, that's how she like they know how much their children need them.
Hmm.
um and I like that.
I really,
Yeah.
yes. No,
Yeah.
when she said that, I was like, wow, that's
That
amazing.
is
Because
amazing.
yeah, but yeah, so definitely say more "I love you" to your kids, being
Yeah.
more affectionate with your kids, because we, I understand that we, everybody has a different experience, and they probably had parents who did
Mm-hmm.
not do that.
Yeah.
And that's okay, but that's your past. We decide the
Mm-hmm.
person we want to be
To be
today.
today. Yeah.
And once you made a decision that you want to be a parent and you want to have kids, you want to have a partner, you need to
Mm-hmm.
understand the duty, the role you're about to take. And you need to understand that this kid needs affection. This kid needs love, because the
Mm-hmm.
kids go outside in the playground talking to other kids and hearing other kids say, "This is what's going on in my home."
Yeah.
And the kids think that this, this is not happening here. Like
Mm-hmm.
my parents don't love
Don't love
me,
me.
or
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I think that's very important. I understand that they were raised by even stricter parents
Yeah.
who probably were they have the money,
Mm-hmm.
they were so focused on raising them and
Mm-hmm.
feeding them.
Yeah.
But I also but that was the past. But
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, I think like all of that like valid points. And I think like it also just kind of like affects the kids even later on, like
Mm-hmm.
when they become adult and like the way that they interact in their relationship. So I feel like all of this is important and are things that I like, these like the not being affectionate, not telling my kid I love you. I definitely want to do more of that.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing for me personally is really just like you said, having that open door with my kids. But it's more, I think like for me, like you are super close to your dad. Like Madly tells me all the time about how her and her dad are best friends, and she talks to her dad about, when I say everything, guys, everything. I am not like this. I love my parents, but I very much so have a parent child relationship with my parents, and I think so much of their past I don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know like who they've dated, like what they've accomplished, like mistakes that they made. I think it goes down that same like, rabbit hole. But again, like I wish I was a little bit more of my parents' friends and I felt like I had that open door where I could go and talk to them about
Well.
anything, and I think this is one thing that like was missing. And I think like sometimes you get that through teenage years, but because when I was young, like after I left after the earthquake, I moved to the US. So I kind of became an adult in the US and my parents were in Haiti. And by the time they came to the US, like I went from like child to caretaker. And that's another thing, like
Yeah, that's exactly.
becoming your parents, like now parenting your parents. So I feel like there hasn't been like really a period of time
Mm-hmm.
where I felt like I was my parents' friend.
Yeah.
And yeah, like where I felt like, I could talk to them about anything. And I think for me, when I have kids, I do want to have that balance of being a friend and also being a parent, but also creating a space where they feel safe to come to me and talk to me about anything that's
Yeah.
going on in their life.
So for me, I don't want to say. I think I trained my dad, because my personality is like, this is me, and you're just going to take it. And I think I've challenged my parents a lot
Yeah.
throughout the years since I was younger. So I think that my dad likes to say, "Oh, I'm your brother, your sister," and I'm like, "Okay, okay." Now I'm talking to my brother, and this is what I'm about to say. Now I'm talking to my friend, and then he
Oh,
goes, "Madly, what are you telling me?" And I said, "Nope, brother, sister, best friend."
see, and I
And
love
I
that.
say
I really
that,
love that.
no. So I think that coming to the US and also going to live at family's house, they tend to lie about you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
I, that's
that's true.
true.
That's true.
So
That's true. Yeah.
they say some stuff can be right, and sometimes they switch things around to make it look like obviously you're a bad kid acting up. And for me, it was very important for my dad to know what I'm capable of and what I'm not capable of. Because
Mm-hmm.
if somebody calls my dad today and say Maddie did this,
Yeah.
he will be able to say yes, yes, nope, nope, nope. Like he
Yeah.
will know. So that's
But
when I really had to make
make
sure that
sure.
he knows.
But should you be friends? Okay, obviously, guys, we're not parents yet, right? I mean, I did have a little bit of moment in my life where I was parenting my younger siblings
Hmm.
because they came to the US at a young age.
Hmm.
But do you think that parents should be friends with their kids? Because I do feel like at some point when they're very young, you need to have that strictness and like
Hmm.
that foundation where there's like boundaries, right? But I still want them to be able to like feel like I'm close to them.
I think that I respect my dad. I know he's my father, but he's also my friend.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there's a period of time where you are a parent 100. I think you always a parent 100% of the time, but there's a part each era of the kid's life.
Mm-hmm.
There's you need to be very present and teaching your kids some values that will make that kid who they are
Yeah.
today. But once a kid starts getting to 16, 17, every age comes with you need to know what's going on in your child's life, and this is not
Mm-hmm.
going to happen by snooping around, and this is not going to happen by being straight, and this is
Mm-hmm.
making creating a safe space for a kid to come home and tell you about their day, and
Yeah.
being able to say, oh, this guy liked me, and this,
Mm-hmm.
because it's okay to say that, oh, I don't think you're ready for certain things, without saying you shouldn't do this. There's a
Yes.
different delivery that needs to happen.
Yeah.
18, a kid who is in college, that kid is, you already did the job, you already
Mm-hmm.
give that kid so much values,
Yeah.
and you need to let them know that, okay, you're going to be going to college, this is what you might see. There will be
Mm-hmm.
weed, there will be this, there will be,
Yeah.
well, they probably know about this already in high school nowadays, but for me, and I didn't know about these things in high school. It's okay to let them know. Don't lie about how you're going
Yeah.
to hell because stuff like that,
Exactly.
scaring, that traumatizing.
Mm-hmm.
They always choose the
The
traumatizing
traumas,
way.
like they're
Yeah.
kind of like scaring you into not
Yeah, you
doing
have sex,
certain
you get
things.
pregnant.
Exactly. Ugh,
You,
another story, like
yeah.
for another thing about schools in Haiti, which
Yeah.
we need to have
Yeah.
an episode about this. One thing, oh my God, our sex teacher and at our school told us, which is the craziest story ever. Guys, I kid you not. The other girls from St. Louis who are in my class can vouch for this. Our sex teacher
Mm-hmm.
told us that if we had sex,
Patchy, no? Parfait,
if
ça.
we
Marquant, je
had
te dis ça.
if we had sex in the car with a
Oh,
guy, he would
okay.
get stuck inside of us like dogs do, and they get stuck with each other.
Oh.
And another thing was that
Mm.
if like you have sex in the pool and the guy like ejaculates in the pool, you can get pregnant from that.
Mm.
This is what they were teaching us in school, guys.
So,
Anyways,
right? So that's something else.
but
So,
like that is something
I
totally
think it is
different.
possible. Each era of the kid's life, you
You need to
need
change.
change
And
your method and
yeah,
your
I think
ways.
my parents actually did a good job with that. Like they were very not very strict, they were pretty strict when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
But as I became older, I think when I turned 16, they kind of had a switch, right? Like where they started trusting me with things a little bit more. I was allowed to go out a little bit more and I was allowed to be a little bit more independent. And I think
Mm-hmm.
I want a version of that. That's like one thing I think they did good. And I want to like adapt a version of that when I have kids, if I decide to have kids.
Yes, that's another
Yes.
conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is possible. I think it is possible. And
Yeah.
I think if I have kids in the future, this is one thing that my kids, at some point, I'm your mom.
Mm-hmm.
You know that I do not play,
Mm-hmm.
but oh, this guy spoke to me, or this guy did something weird. It's it's okay to swallow like your because I think if I hear my kids having sex, I'm gonna be like, "Wee,"
I
But
know.
I will try my best to just be
Yeah.
like, "What happened?"
You see, talking about, I like that you said that like you want to like make the effort and kind of have that self awareness and tell yourself, okay, let me take a step back. It's not about me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think, like, again, that's helpful because I feel like Haitian parents not being able to do that is the reason why they they inflict physical and emotional abuse to their kids, which is
Mm.
like another thing that we should talk about, right?
Yep.
Like Haitian parents and inflicting like physical and emotional abuse with their to their children.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know if your parents have been abusive, but I have been victim of physical abuse a time or two. And I think like I remember a time when my mom literally beat the hell out of me
What?
for not making a sandwich for my sister. I had told her, she asked me to make a sandwich, and I told her,
No.
I have this exam I'm studying for, and I kind of want to finish doing whatever I'm doing, and I have somebody else do it. Like we have other people who work in the house and who can get it done. Why don't you have them do it? And she was so mad. And when she beat me, she was talking to me about how like she grew up in a family of 10 siblings, and she would tell me how like yeah like her siblings are ungrateful, they never want to help each other, and she will not raise a kid like this. And
You
as
triggered
an
her.
adult, like I'm able to see that this was about her being triggered. And honestly, like I would do some crazy things and I would expect my mom to give me a beating and she would not give me a beating. And for stuff that I would not expect her to beat me,
Yeah.
she would beat me, which makes me feel like this was never about me. This was about her being triggers and her trauma.
Tout pa Haitien mais ite kay doktor, you know, therapy,
Yes, they
ou bien
definitely
an
need therapy.
bakod. You took me an bakod sometimes. Sorry, Papi, I love you though, but you know, all of you guys.
No,
All of you guys is
no, but I do think that a lot of the physical abuse
Se
is
kouri fet ti moun yo do a l'ekol, koman klasik, klasik, secondaire, universitaire, quoi. Mariage, kids. Et puis, rien nan komportement. Pas
no,
jam pale de
no,
sa, non?
mais c'est vrai. C'est parce que they don't go to therapy. Parce que when you're thinking about it, en pile na famille haïtien, right? They get married under duress, right? C'est comme si they get married because they think that this is what they have to do, and a lot of them were not prepared for that, like, you know, relationship, for going into a relationship or having kids, right? And you have like moms who are overwhelmed because they have to be the sole caretaker of their children, and then you have like dads who have the pressure of being provider, right? Like, and you're living in a country like Haiti where money is not stable all the time, and you
Work is
know,
not
work is not
stable.
stable all the time, and as a male, like, you feel that pressure of, I have to be the provider for my family.
Yeah.
And you have kids who are coming here and being disrespectful and being disorderly and being kids, and you do not have the patience to do that. And also, like,
That's what, you don't have money, you don't have kids.
that's
Let me
another.
repeat that. You don't have money, do not have kids. I'll repeat it
I
again.
agree.
You
I
do
mean,
not
to a
have
certain
money. In this life, you need money.
kids are expensive.
No.
Kids are expensive, but that's true though, because it's like all of this stress. Like,
C'est
you
pas
have
nécessaire.
moms that are unhappy in their relationship who are passing the rage on their kids. Like, so it's like, for me personally, I think it's important before I have kids for me to deal with my trauma, to kind of like have
Yep.
that self-awareness, to know what I'm not happy with, what could trigger me, and also to be able to have the strength to say, hey, like, my child may be annoying. I'm just gonna take a step back.
You know what's so funny? I remember I didn't really go into detail to why, but at some point, I was not really working on myself. And my friend, this girl I met, and she said, "Oh, are you going to have kids?" And then I said, "No, I don't think I'm going to have kids." And then she goes, you're so selfish.
Why? You
And
see,
I'm
this is
like,
another thing that I don't like. Like, the guilt thing, the guilt trip of, you know, when, you know, mothers are saying they don't want to have kids, and you're automatically seen as a bad person. I think that's actually a responsible thing, to know that I'm not ready to have kids. And I feel like for me, whenever a guy asks me this, I always tell them that I will only have kids with the right partner, because I'm not dealing with that. I'm not dealing with that nonsense for me. And I feel like I want to have a partner that is going to be a true partner to me and help me raise that child, so that I am not in a situation like my parents, where I'm overworked and I'm overstressed, and like, whenever I'm angry and I feel like this person is not contributing in a way that I would like them to, I'm like inflicting abuse, emotional or physical abuse, to my child.
So that's the thing. She thought I was selfish because I said I didn't want kids. It means that I didn't want to share my time. And again, it's okay. If you don't want to share your time with kids, 100% don't have kids.
Yeah.
That's fine. But for me, you're not working on yourself and having kids just because society tells you.
Yes.
You selfish, boo-boo. And I hope she sees this.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
hope you see this, girl. And I hope that, like, you know, if you have kids, you're actually happy, and you actually are happy being a mom and
Yes.
parenting. But also, like, I think, like, let's talk about the emotional abuse too that Haitian parents kind of inflict on their kids, like the guilt tripping, the gaslighting.
Wow. I felt
Like,
that
Haitian
one.
parents are never wrong.
Oh, never.
They're never wrong.
Never wrong. Opakadio mati.
Like, they will do something messed up, and then they will tell you, like, no, you're wrong. And it's like, even if they know they're wrong, they will never admit that they are.
My dad one time got super mad at me. And then he called later on, and actually it was the day of the earthquake, because that's the reason why he spoke to my mom one last time before the earthquake happened. But I'm like, okay, so why are you calling me? And then he goes, oh, je me suis laissé aller ce matin. I'm so sorry. Parce que he basically made him do on the machine. Sorti,
I love that.
And he apologized. And I'm like, is this why? Because I'm a kid. I was literally with Leticia, and I'm like, why are you calling me? And he said, oh, I want to apologize. because I acted this way. But you need to understand, it's very important for you to understand these things. You
Yeah.
cannot be studying something and not, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
my father really tries his best. That's one thing I have to give to this man.
Yeah.
And you know, one of the reasons why my dad is a great guy, because he is okay with himself and he's okay with his decision. My
Yeah.
mom, there was different. There's a different energy with my mom, and it's
Mm.
because for her, she had some stuff she wasn't happy and all of this stuff. But my father, you could see that that was someone who was ready to have a
Yeah.
kid.
I think like for me it's also a similar story where my dad was a lot older than my mom and I think he had had kids
Right.
prior and by the time he had us he was in his I think like early 50s so he was definitely more mature
Mm-hmm.
and he definitely would say when he's wrong and he would apologize and he would explain to me why he
Yeah.
felt the way that he felt. My mom never. She will just come she'll feel bad, she'll just feed me. She'll just make me my favorite
Yes.
dish and that's how I would know that she's sorry but I personally, when I have a kid, I want to be able to
Able to
say that I'm
say
sorry. Like, because I
sorry.
feel like, yeah, like, I don't want my kid to feel like, they can never win with me,
And and also when the kid grows up, the kid needs to understand that people need to apologize
apologize.
to them.
Yes, because, yeah, that's another
And
thing.
when
And I
and
feel
where
like
do
that,
they learn that if it's not at home?
exactly. Another thing that I feel like that can affect really like a kid's confidence or them not being able to is really like just like the constant like criticism too
Mm-hmm.
like like it kind of like takes away from their confidence because it's like when they grow up it's also a thing where like you bring them down their confidence is down and I think like this is one thing I feel like I loved when you like I love about you and your dad like you're always telling me about how your dad was always telling you like you're the most beautiful girl in the world like
Yeah,
you're
it is very.
amazing and I think for me too that's one thing that I feel like my dad did a good job at like he would call me like my petite marabout
Mm-hmm.
and he would always make me feel like I'm the smartest girl in the world like he loves smart kids so I think like whenever I had a good grade he would celebrate that and like anything that I wanted to try he would encourage
Mm-hmm.
and I love that and I feel like these are all things that I want to do with my kids.
No, when I'm in doubt and I call my dad and I say, "Oh my God, I want to do this, but I don't know." And I was like, "Wait, since when do you doubt yourself?
Yeah, my dad would say a
What's
petite
more? Yeah,
moyen."
I'll be like, "Don't you?
Did your
Do
dad
you
say that to
not
you?
know who you
My
are?
dad would say,
You're
"Do you
baby,
not know who
petite
you
qui
are?"
est souillé."
Petite qui est souillée. Like,
You
and
know.
that's the thing where, I loved, and it always made me feel better. Like he would always tell me, like, you need to know whose daughter you are, and he was always so proud of me, and I feel like that really did a lot for my confidence. Like when I moved to the U.S. and people would kind of like, because you saw Haiti, you don't know that you're black. I don't know about you if that's your experience. Like I grew up in Haiti. Yes, I know my skin tone is black, but when you come to the US, people just want to put you in a box and remind you that you can't do things because you're black. In Haiti, everybody's doing everything and they're all black,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel
And they'll
like
make sure to let you know. Like, what did I ask you?
exactly.
Like, did I ask
Exactly.
you?
It's like when I went to college, they would be like, yeah, you can't do this. You can't apply to this school. I don't think I'm like, watch me. And
Yep.
it was always because my dad always told me that you're smart, you can do whatever you want, and I feel like a lot of that's one thing Haitian's parents did well, like making sure you
Yes.
know your worth, because a lot of kids here they grow up and they they have been told all the time that they will not amount to nothing. I did not have that experience, and I
Yep.
think a lot of like Haitian kids
That's
also
very
did not
no.
have that
One thing about
experience.
Haitian parents, you will feel the love in a way. They will build your confidence, and my dad really did a really great job at that. It made me feel like I could do anything.
Yeah,
The support, that's very important.
but the other side of this
Mm.
though,
Mm-hmm.
Haitian parents invalidate your feelings.
Mm.
I deal with Haitian parents that you're depressed.
Oh no,
Go.
wait, my dad. Oh, papi, I'm depressed. I don't know. Papi, tout ce qui m'arrive là maintenant, c'est parce que moi fait dépression. Pas comprendre? On fait dépression, Madeleine. Rete chita dit tout ça, non? Ok. Rete chita dit tout ça. Pas faire rien. Fais ça, ok. Et puis, oh, chérie, on fait dépression. On fait dépression, ok. Maintenant, qu'on y a là, depuis le que m'a pas dit, Madeleine, on t'a le docteur.
No,
N'arrive, il
did you
est
say
de
what? Like, I feel like in a sense I get it because je pense que by saying you're depressed, you're depressed, you're depressed, sometimes you sink yourself and you let yourself sit in that depression and you're not you don't have like the will to kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
I do think that this generation, they like to
For sure.
self-diagnose themselves. Me, you already know how I feel about this, but again, we will have an episode about like we need to have an episode about mental health to talk about
Definitely.
it. Not that I'm dismissing mental health, you know, like I feel like for me, my parents, like if I were to ever tell them I'm depressed, they would be like, "Est-ce qu'on va manger? Mbokai." I give you clothes, I give you food. What do you have to be depressed about? You know, like there are kids starving in the world, and they definitely wouldn't validate the way that I feel if I felt sad about something, or even that idea of come see what if you're crying. Oh, I'm gonna give you a reason to cry, right? They will beat you if you're sad about something. They'll be like, "What are you sad about? Don't make me give you a reason to be sad or a reason to cry." And it just doesn't allow you to process your feelings
Mm-hmm.
and to just sit in it and to, you know, be emotional about things. And yeah, like that's not a thing I want to bring into when I raise kids.
No, that's very important.
Yeah. All right. So another subject. I honestly think this is an important one. I don't think it so much has anything to do with Haitian parenting per se,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like it's just how us as humans and as Haitians like deal in relationship. Like it's more in relation to how Haitian mothers
Mm.
are with their kids and how they make them the center of their lives. I have seen this happen.
You know,
And I don't think it's just Haitian parents. I think it's just women in general.
yes, and I already
Yeah.
say like, how? Why would they want to talk about that? Do they even have kids? They don't get it. If I don't get it, when I get it, I'm going to go to therapy just to give my kid to a nanny. I'll learn to give my kid to a nanny for 3 hours
No, but
for me
Maddie
to go to
is
the
literally the
spa.
person that says, if I divorce my husband, he's taking the children.
He is. Mpa bezwe pri Nobel ke m leve ti moun nan mwen. Oh, mwen men, se mwen k leve l mwen k fel. I don't need this recognition. This recognition comes with trauma. I have enough
But
trauma.
that's the thing. I feel like a lot of women feel like it's their duty to be the sole caretaker of their kids. And
Then God would have said you can
Yeah.
have a kid alone. You don't need the
Yeah.
sperm from the man.
yeah. But
There's
I feel
a
like
reason.
it's a thing where both the women and the men are culpable in this situation, right? You have like the woman who feels like they believe that they're the sole caretaker and they don't want to, you know, they want to hold on to their kid and they don't want to let their kids
They need to go
anybody
to
else take care of the
therapy.
kids. So like when you have the husband trying to help, they feel like the husband is never doing good enough job. So they're always criticizing their husband,
Yes.
and that's discouraging them
And
to
just
to
to
participate.
and just to be clear, I'm not talking about single moms. Single
Yeah.
mom, that's different, right?
Mm.
I understand that there's no partner.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, mon
In the
là.
picture.
No. Get rid of one time affair.
So.
The guy don't want to be in the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You have to buy your child support. Listen, for my parents, à l'État. Marché à l'État.
Wap di yo al
Marché à l'État fait nèg yo prend rôle papa yo. Même si c'est $50 yo voye pa moi, fait l'État marqué yo pour yo connaître ça.
What if the dad already wants to contribute though?
No, c'est ça. I want to make sure because get parents parce que I've heard this that l'État.
I would be one of those moms.
I
I'm
will
not gonna
go.
lie.
You don't want to take out. Qu'est-ce que tu fais?
You're right. You know,
But I want to be clear. If it's a single mom, I understand that you really, it's only you, unless you have like other family members contributing and helping you. But if you have a partner, una même caille avec un nèg, ou gon nèg qui couche derrière dos, ou même ou pense c'est ou même qui alpha et l'oméga petite là, a chita dans thérapie, apprendre quitter moun et d'autres qui petit.
Yes, exactly. And
it doesn't make sense.
It affects your marriage in a negative way. But
and it impacts you in the past, in the future.
Because you're stressed out. You know, you're the only person doing all of this work, and then you're seeing your husband out here living his life, possibly getting himself a new woman.
Bon, sur Instagram now, you will hang.
Honestly, there's nobody that's more single than, I'm sorry, a married man. A married Haitian
parent.
A married parent too.
And I think like in this ta femme est dehors. What? Yes. Ma pote, petite la ma mette lunettes solaires dans ce petit oyen, la mette moi parent yo comment utiliser un écouteur. Et ça pas dit à papa. Qui va ça?
No, mais la chose c'est que je pense que both parents have a role to play, because sometimes too, you know, I think a lot of Haitian men grew up without seeing their dads like being this involved in like, you know, their children's life. Like I feel like I don't think my dad has ever changed a diaper. He was a good dad, but in terms of like involving and taking care of me, I don't think he did much of that. Like he wasn't feeding me, clothing me.
Yeah.
And I think like a lot of women don't hold men accountable and don't demand that. I feel like there are men who are willing to do it and they're being criticized for
Mm-hmm.
not doing it how the woman wants it to be done.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a bad thing. And I also feel like there are men who just are not involved at all. Like they just feel
No.
like having a kid means playing with them, you know, soukeyo de temps en temps, et puis fini. You know what I
But
mean? And providing for them. But it's more than that. And I feel like what that does is like you're putting all the burden on your wife, and now they don't have time to be part of the marriage.
but the question I have though, like them doing it wrong, is it he's doing it wrong? Is it creating an issue with is the kid going to die? The way they're doing it, or is it doing it wrong for you because
For
you think you're
you,
perfect?
yeah.
Because this is one thing, knowing that somebody doesn't need to do something exactly the same way you're doing
Yes.
it, and this is one thing that I
Exactly.
have to learn for myself. Like one time my cousin was here and she was helping me, and I'm like, she's doing it
I
wrong,
am
but
like
I'm
this
like, you
too.
know what,
Yeah.
she's
At
helping
least she's
me, it's just going to
helping.
take me 2
Yes.
minutes to just rearrange it.
Yeah.
And you have to understand that the goal is to get it done. The goal is for you to
Exactly.
have some time to yourself.
Exactly. Because just imagine if every time you do something you get criticized for it. Like, would you want
Exactly.
to
They're
keep
not,
doing
oh,
it?
li pa se li kon e parent, ma
Okay,
ptito
tellement pas
parente.
bien fait, mais fais
Fais
ou
ou
même,
même.
and
Yeah,
I feel
no.
like we need to stay away from that.
I'm teaching you how to do it. Now we live in America where there are classes for
Yeah.
both new parents to go to take all your ma wa
Mm-hmm.
chita hang boy tequila. Comment ba yo ele? Comment alcool yo ele
Qu'est-ce que ça va
encore?
bien?
Beer, comment tequila, ma connaît sabado, whatever the hell
Mojito?
they, whichever they want to do.
Yeah.
Al lan classes sa yo for you guys to both
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah, I say like I agree. I think like you guys need to share the load. I hope that more men of our generation are, being more involved. I've been seeing, based on social media, I've seen more and more men like being involved in like raising their kids, and I think
Beaucoup
that's good.
haïtien qui fait ça, non?
And honestly, like,
Ba
Madeleine,
kame ça, c'est la vérité.
c'est
Ba kon
vrai.
fè rien. Poste. Na boy poste petit la tou. Bon ki sa. Poste petit la tou.
No.
My kid.
Yeah, but do better. If
Do
that's not the case,
better.
moi-même, je ne sais pas. I feel like I've met some good Haitian dads. Like,
Yeah.
I know a few Haitian dads that are in my generation that are they're very much involved. Like my friend's husband, like he takes care of the kid more than she does. I'm not even gonna lie.
Mm-hmm. That'll probably be me, but okay.
I can see that for you, honestly.
My husband is definitely
I
going to
definitely
take
could
more of
see
the
that
work
for you.
for me.
Yeah.
I love
But,
kids, but it's like,
yeah. I do feel like I hope like this newer generation.
Wait,
And
did
I
say
feel like
love
I
kids?
went to Kenya the other day,
Uh-huh.
and there was a couple. Their kid had just turned 1, and they were on vacation without the kid.
Mhm.
And I asked them, and they were telling me about it, and they were telling me about how they miss their kid, And I remember telling them, "Wow, I'm so like impressed by you, and
Mhm.
I love that you're able to prioritize your relationship. And although you have a kid, you don't feel guilty."
Yeah.
Like leaving the kid at home with their grandparents and like
Yes.
taking time for you.
You do have to take time for your husband.
Yes.
On bay, surtout garçon yo. Lè yo fin fè ti moun nan, background téléphone nan otomatikman chanje ti moun nan. Mbe se konen
Comment
ki
ça a changé
yet.
ti moun
Se
nan?
ti moun nan seman ki background
Sans
nan.
maman.
Si mpa la dan, na boumen. Parce que même c'est ti bagay sa ki fò réaliser que moun nan komanse blio, se petit la reme seman. Men mpa nan rens. Non. I love my kid. But at the end of the day, ti moun nan koul gen 18 ans, they chup,
I know.
they go.
Ou pou konto.
And you left with your husband. So if you're not taking care of this one-on-one relationship,
yeah,
the kid at some point, because me,
and
when my
kids
dad
are
is talking about his
selfish.
relationship, I don't care. That's not my relationship.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you boo-boo? But
I
so
know.
you have to take care
Mhm.
of each other.
Yes.
Make time. And don't get me wrong, I understand that being immigrants, having to start all over, sometimes
Yeah.
you don't have the resources for our travail,
Mhm.
no page moun, comme si ki, to
Yeah, we don't
babysit
have
the kids.
You know what? I agree. We don't have the same community that our parents
It
had
had in
when
the
we
past.
were younger
Yeah,
too.
when
Like I think like that was a thing
it
in
takes
Haiti.
time.
It takes a village to raise a kid, and it's hard to get that village here in the U.S.
But I think that it gets in the budget that we should hire a nanny once a month.
Tout moun ka hire nanny.
Non, but c'est pas valè moun ki kon haïtien, tout moun aval chita loué bon Dieu nan l'église chaque dimanche. Pas ka jè nou moun vin babysit moun yo.
But okay.
Extra
All right.
cash.
Okay, but I think like that's also dangerous because
How?
tu sais quoi? In my adulthood, talking to people, I've realized how many kids have been abused by
Mm.
people that like their parents trust. And
Topic
for another time. For another time. But no, she's like, and I feel like the reason why this happens too is because a lot of like Haitians raise their kids to not think that adults are ever wrong.
True. I see what you mean.
You know? And I feel like that kind of like sets them up to be taken advantage of.
Let me tell you something. I come back home from school. I went to an all-girls school in Haiti.
Mhm.
My mom, it's like, you know how you go through a machine at TSA?
Uh-huh.
My mom was that machine. Ok. Bonjour. Ça va? Ok, ça va. You manye ça? You manye
She would
ça?
ask you that?
You manye ça? Il y a moun qui dit ou manye ceci? Il y a moun qui dit ou manye cela?
Vraiment?
Yo beau? Yo touche ou? Yo font pareil? Ou konen faut di maman ki kote? Like, you need, like,
Yeah.
every day. If it's not every day, it's every once in a while. She'll be
It's
like,
hard.
Maddie, remember the question I asked you? Yo ba jam manye ça? Yo ba jam manye ça? Yo ba jam manye ça?
But your mom did a good job. But
Yeah.
Madly, la quantité de personnes that have been abused, like you will be surprised the amount of women que leur te timoun comme si c'est zami maman, zami ma tante qui manye. You know what I mean? Like, and this is because too, parce que parents étaient là. Parce que
C'est
parents
tati.
y a fini, y a dit c'est tati, c'est pas mi.
Ouais,
They're
mais-
never wrong. Et puis
Vin fè petit mwen nou tati. No. Même, I beg of you.
yo,
Like,
no.
try it. No, honestly, you guys are going to get to know me.
No,
little by little.
Madly, mama, like one of our friends, like was with his nephew, and she's like, "Say bye to Tati, Maddie, and Tati Ro." It's like, no.
Why you calling her Tati? Whoa, did she
Did
who
she spend
is
money
she?
on you?
Did she spend money on
Is
you? I
she
said,
blood
stop.
related?
Is she blood? I literally cut that off real quick.
But you know what? I
Tout
feel
say
like
Tati.
I know, but it's like that's the thing that's dangerous because comme si loal you know kaya haïtien par exemple vin bo tout moun la. And it doesn't matter. It takes away the kids like ability to say no. Parce que comme si ça te fait comme si l'enfant ne sait pas comment dire non because ou force la bo tout moun tout temps. Si moun ap manye, li pa konnen ke pou dire que comme si yo I don't want to be touching this way because the parent is always right. And what that does too. Go ahead.
Ma pa pren petit mwen. Depi ou fè petit mwen bagay. Mommy said to grab whatever you pointed at me and give it the biggest bite of your life. And then run for my life. Because I will teach my kid. No, pas sérieux.
No, I agree. I think like teaching your kid that it's okay to speak up. Parce que fait que comme si pas répondre grand monde, like, you know, you can't talk back to adults. Like, no. And what that does too, for me, I was raised like where like my mom was very much like, I'm an adult, whatever I say go, and whatever an adult says go. And I think like how that affected me was when I came here and I went into the corporate world in my relationship with authority. You know, I feel like I would be in situations. And yes.
Oui.
No, but that literally was me. I think I'm still pretty much a people pleaser because of that. I would be in like meetings or in room where I would see an authority figure be wrong and be afraid to correct them because they're elders and they're more mature and I feel like they're in a higher position than I am. And yeah, I would have a hard time doing it. It was very difficult for me. And even now, I think it just also kind of like causes me to doubt my ability to, like, it causes self-doubt a lot of time. Like when I'm making decisions, it's like, yeah, like, you know, I feel like I don't know. So for me, I just want to do a better job at like, I'm not going to tell my kid that like, I'm always right. And like, come see whatever an adult says you need to do. Like, no.
No, my kid will understand that I'm your mom. I'm older. Therefore, I've gone through what you're going through. Therefore, I might have thoughts on certain things that you decide to do. But I could be wrong as well. You know what I mean? And if I'm wrong, I'm going to tell my kid, oh, wait, I really thought this was this. I'm so sorry. I didn't, you know, because that kid will, because when you let your kid know you're always right.
Yeah.
And once they discover that you're not always right, they will never know. Not even lose respect. They will never know when you're actually right to listen and to not commit certain errors in life.
I also feel like for me too, I think like that idea of self-doubt is kind of like also like my opinion doesn't matter. I think like a lot of times, I think like being friends with Maddie, one thing that she always says is like, speak up. Like, you know, like, If something's not right, come see. I think I went to go pick up, guys, the trauma I went this weekend. I went to go pick up some patties. She was like, "Bon moun yo pa fait travail yo, mo wap vin faire pause capon." Like tell them that their phone is not working. And I was like, I
The
mean,
one
I
I was like,
don't
well,
know.
I'm going to say the same way. So I'm like, Willen, what did they say? No, but I'm like, Willen, what did they say? Non, pas, rien m'a dit. Ils sont pas dit moun yo que téléphone va marcher. Non, mais moi, je vais pas parler aux gens comme ça. Alors, I'm like, mettez-moi sous speaker.
No, because for me, it's not like I feel like it is hard for me to speak up in certain situations because also it was an old lady and I felt like it was disrespectful for me to be like yelling at her, you know, and that's literally,
The old
guys,
lady.
this is why you need to teach your kids that their opinion matter, like their voice matter, and it's something that, like, honestly, like I rather have a kid that is like Maddie, that's very opinionated. Not that I don't love what I love the child that I am. I'm very like, but I also like the fact that you're very opinionated and nobody can fuck with you.
Oh,
And
you
nobody
can
will
try.
ever take advantage of you. And for
You
me,
need
I
to
feel like
try.
I have been in so many situations where I felt taken advantage
But you
of.
know one thing my mom said to a neighbor one time, and I overheard her say this, and then the lady was, my mom was talking, and then the lady said, "Oh, you have to try to tame Madly down. Like she's too much." And this, my mom said, in this world, I want Madly to stay the way she is because if I die, nobody can walk on
I
her.
know. And I feel like that's the thing. Like, nobody, your mom wasn't worried for
Yeah.
you. Whereas for me, I was very much like of a people pleaser, of like a,
Mais ma peur
yes.
va tomber ce là. Mais comment de kon di? De kon di que ma vin avec un gros tracteur. Vin chercher m'kon.
No, but I like that. I really like that.
No, yeah.
And yeah.
But you know one thing I saw one time on TikTok, I don't know if it was TikTok days or YouTube or Instagram, and then this parent said like how to build your kids' confidence and to know that they have to trust how they think and not always seek validation. Is that like for example your kid brings you a drawing and something and then it's like, oh mom and dad, this is what I did, and she said some people are going to say, oh this is beautiful.
Yeah, I
But
think I saw that
and
one.
he said, I said first, what do you think? And then the kid goes and say, oh I like it, I think I did this and did that, and then he goes with what the kid said, I think, because he said you have to train your kid to
have critical thinking
and to also think that my thought process, what I want, comes first versus running. Oh, I did this. Can you look? Do you think,
Yeah.
So it's very important.
I think like for me, what balanced the fact that like, my mom was always like Haitian parents are. I feel like I don't want people to think that my mom was a good mom, but I think she had me like she was younger. I was her first, and I feel like she's made a lot of mistakes. But my dad being more mature, he approached parenting in a different way. And I think for me, one thing that I like that he did a lot was if I wanted to do something, he would ask me to justify why I felt like I needed to do it. Yeah. And it would be like, okay, comme si je veux aller. Why is it necessary? I want to do this, comme si je veux faire théâtre. Pourquoi? Like, why do you feel like you need it? And I think like it built critical thinking for me and like made me be able to think. And although I had a hard time vocalizing it sometimes, because on the other hand, I had my mom tell me like, you don't talk back to adults. Like I still had the ability to think and know that like, okay, to critically think. And
that's very
that
important.
has helped me in my career and also in my life.
You might not do that. Like, no, moi, I'm playing violon. Next thing you know, I'm playing piano because it makes sense for him for the way like to go home.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
My dad, if it made sense, he would always support it. Yeah. Okay, talking about that, like, what are things that you feel like Haitian parents or maybe your parents? Because we talked a lot about like things in the Haitian community. Because it's like, of course, we've all experienced trauma, but what do you think that they did right?
Okay, I'm taking this big pause. Not saying that I don't think they did anything wrong, right? Well, my mom had me at 23. Therefore, I remember myself at 23. Remember yourself at 23. You were a child. So therefore, I just think that's illegal. Like that should be illegal, but okay.
Some people have different maturity. No. Okay.
What's your kid? When I'm such a wow was at 23 and having a kid on my
lap,
a
different person.
So it's just that. So I do understand where her mind was, the way she was thinking and all of that stuff. But I think my mom was very loving. Like my mom really believed for me to be happy and do certain things. She let me be free, you
Mm-hmm.
know? It's just like, for example, like coming here in summer, I'm hearing a lot of the parents here, not the parents, the kids here are saying, for example, oh, how, oh, we come to the States, we just stay at our uncle and,
Oh, this was me.
you know? And then my
This was
mom,
me for sure.
my mom is American, so she lived in New York at some point and moved to Haiti at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Like she would make sure I go to Central Park, and that's one of
I
the reasons
love
why
that.
I fell in love with New York. My mom will make sure that obviously I went to visit these aunts in Brooklyn.
Uh-huh.
I went to, we would do cross country traveling, and we would take the
Mm-hmm.
Greyhound buses. We'll go to Texas, we'll go to Miami, we'll come back here, we'll go to Pennsylvania, and then in New York we'll go to Central Park. We'll sit down. Like she'll make sure like I was having fun and really getting out of Haiti, because Haiti, sometimes was so much. My dad, love, my confidence comes from my dad. The way my dad raised me, it's just that I'm really thankful about that, because people say sometimes, Maddie, you're very confident. Like I didn't know there was any other way but
To
confident.
be, yeah.
Like
And
I
having
only,
like that come from your parent is everything, because it's like
yeah,
you're
like
getting that at home. You're
I didn't,
not looking for validation anywhere else. And
because somebody asked me what was my insecurity at some point, and this caught me off guard. I was like, what, like what?
I love
What is
that.
that? Like
Yeah.
and again, I'm not bragging. I really, so many things I started thinking negatively was from having friends.
Mm.
Like
Okay.
in my home, it was just I was this perfect little girl. My mom was overweight, so she was always worried that I'm overweight.
Mm.
And then my dad would go around and be like, "No, no, worry, my fuck with it. Don't worry about
I
it. Don't give
love
it, don't give
that.
it, don't give it." So it was
Oh,
like even my weight, I didn't even think that
it was a
it
big
was a
deal.
big deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
And I love
so
that for
if
you.
so that's how it was. Like again, my mom wasn't perfect. We had our issues. You know what I mean? Even my dad, we had our issues. But like things that would build me to
Oh,
this person today, they really, my dad did really a good job at that, and my mom
yeah.
was very loving. Like my mom stepped in more, also with her American mentality. It was like when my dad wouldn't want something, it'd be like, "What of it? Mine pity." Pa fe pitit mwen sa. Like, kom si m konen se yo
Yeah.
kabo sorti, but
I
mèm
love
se New
that.
York mde,
Oh
pa fe
my
bay sa.
God.
Like, my
Oh,
mom would cut it. So that's when there was a
a
balance, you
balance.
know?
Yeah.
My mom was like,
I
kisa
love
sal baka pala
that.
gason,
No, but
you
you're
know?
also one of the most confident person I know, and I love that. And
Say,
I
thank you, Madeleine.
and I admire that. I feel like it was one of the first things I've noticed about you when I met you, amongst other things.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But like, and I admire that, and I feel like this is something that I like really was like, yo, no matter what, like you, because it's like even if I see you, I know you talk about being overweight. That's not the first thing I see when I see you, right? It's
A
like
lot of
you're,
people say that.
yeah, and I love that, and I think it's because you're very confident, you're comfortable in your skin, and it's like no matter what, you know who you are, and I think that that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for me, I think one thing that I feel like Haitians do well when it comes to parenting,
Mm-hmm.
I think we touched on it a little bit in this episode, is um, education, like how important they make sure that education is. My parents were like this, but I think like no matter what social class you're in, no matter if you're poor or you're rich, like education is a priority. Like Timashana, like they're making sure like whatever penny they're saving is to make
My
sure that
God,
their kid goes to school.
this lady who used to come sell us like fish and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
her kids was in France studying, like, and paying their school
A cat,
cash,
yeah,
like,
yep. And they're putting in the hours because they believe that in education. And I feel like one thing that was really shocking for me was like how much Americans didn't value education. Because I grew up in a community where education was very much valued,
mm-hmm.
and I know, granted, Haitians Haitian parents will not support you if you're going and trying to be an artist,
Oh my
and,
God.
if you're like, Mom, I want to be a singer or a
Okay.
rapper, they're not about that.
If you were
It's
to
like you just need to be an engineer, a doctor, or a lawyer, and that's it.
my guys, you need to understand, and growing up was also understanding that
Yeah,
we live in a third world country, whereas where specific um career were could help you be
be
successful and
successful.
grow.
Yeah,
And that's one thing I understood that's growing up.
yeah,
But just because your kid is showing some artistic trait, that's passion,
it
and passion is
is.
important, like, because when you have passion, you can
Mhm.
be successful, because passion helps you be consistent,
Yes.
helps you seek that discipline that
Yeah.
you need, because when you look at it, for you to grow and all of that, you just need to be consistent and disciplined. And sometimes having that passion project makes
Makes
you just think and take so much to know, how am I going to make this work?
Yeah, I think for me, like, as like if I have kids or when I have kids, I will definitely make sure education is important. But I think the way that I would shift a little bit or deviate a bit from what my parents did is, if my kid like shows that, they're going to be like signs that they are very talented in a certain thing that's not a traditional, like, career path, like
Hmm.
they're a good painter or they're a good singer, I will make sure I support that also, while
Yeah.
making sure that they understand that it's important for them to have like an educational background to fall back on. Like, I don't want to be, I've known this girl, she was an amazing dancer and her parents would just not allow her to dance.
Wow.
And I
Yeah.
felt like it's so sad for her. And I
Mm.
feel like it's important for you to support all aspects of your kids and whatever they want to do. Like, my parents were very like, if your grades are good, you do whatever you want,
And you know what's
right?
so crazy? And here coming, one thing that my dad made sure that I did extracurricular activity was because his cousin who lives here was like, you need to make sure Maddie does extracurricular activities. I was in basketball, I did dancing, I played piano, because these are very important. And and even going to high school here and going to college, they were asking me, I had to do X amount of community hours for my
Mm-hmm.
school, because all of these matters to colleges. About everybody can have a 4.0 GPA if they put their mind to it, but
Mm-hmm.
what makes you different? What's your story,
Exactly.
right? So extracurricular activities are very
Very
important. So
important. Yeah.
therefore, you need to teach your kids. It's not saying no, don't do this, but you need
Yeah.
to make sure that your kids understand that to live here in our society, you need to be financially stable.
Stable.
That's the goal. You need to be financially
Especially in this
stable.
economy.
Therefore, I'm worried about, it's okay to sit down. It's not a question of just responding, oh, because why is it this you want to do? No,
Yeah.
it's understanding. It's
Honestly,
just be like, it's okay to tell your kid, well, you're very talented, but I'm worried that I do not
have a
know,
conversation. Yeah.
and I know I'm about to this kid asked her mom about, like, she wanted to take self-dancing classes, and then she goes and asks her friend, oh, do you know about this,
Hmm.
help me this. Take the time, do the research, and help your kid,
Yeah.
because you don't know about how great a painter or
Or a
whatever,
singer or anything that they
what
could
could
turn
they
out to
get
be.
to
Yeah.
exactly. But you can do the research to help your kid, but your kid needs to understand, okay, you don't know about
Yeah, I
this.
think it's all about having a conversation and just making sure that they understand where you're coming from, but also
So
accepting where they're coming from and making sure that they feel supported.
yes, and that's
Yeah.
very important, because
Yeah.
if there's passion, I really believe that if there's passion, a lot could happen.
Okay.
But I will also explain to my kid that you need to pay the bills.
Yeah.
You need to pay this. Like, I'll help you, but if you're done with school, you need to go to school. You need to be able to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
That's very important. And also create time for your passion project.
Okay. This was a good conversation. Okay, so I know we're not parents, right? And
Mm-hmm.
again, you don't have to hear our advice or anything. Like, because we don't have kids. Although I feel like I've had kids though. I've had two
No, you
children.
did.
I
You
did.
used to
I
go on
really did.
volleyball
I used
camp.
to like go to volleyball camp, like put my niece through volleyball camp and everything. Like, I was a whole mom for, like, that's another story.
Yeah.
But okay, so what would you say like is a final like advice that you would have so we can wrap this up? Like, what would be your final short and sweet advice?
No, I think that one thing that's very important for me is just that, oh, people, I hear a lot of people go, oh, but I just wasn't raised that way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what about, it's the same way people grew up poor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that they have to stay poor?
Mm-hmm.
They go in the world and some become billionaires, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, yours, yes, this was your story, but you can redirect your story. And
Yeah.
it's a question of, what do I want to be today?
Yeah.
Because I have traumas. I lost my mom in the earthquake, and this doesn't define me. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
I refuse to just be like this girl. I lost my mom in the earthquake. I don't have a mom. No,
Yeah.
it's just like, I'm a person. Shit went down. That's a part of me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to act like everything I'm doing wrong is because I'm so traumatized from my past. No.
Yeah.
I want to do this. I want to be the best version of myself. Your parents didn't say I love you to you. You can start saying I love
Love
you
you
to
to your
your
kids.
kids.
Yeah, I agree.
You know? That's
Yeah,
very important. Like, you choose to be who you want to be. Yes, you have a past, but you can change your future
I agree.
because they know to go make money.
Yeah. I I think for me, like my advice would be I think like, a lot of times I give grace to my parents, right? And I give grace to my parents' generation. I think a lot of them got married under duress,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like because they had to, because this was society had to tell them to, and a lot of them did it young. And a lot of them did not have the resource to deal with a lot of the trauma that they went through, a lot of and they didn't have the resource to heal and to grow, like to go to therapy. And I'm not saying you have to go to therapy, but you have to like work on yourself and try to heal a lot of those traumas that your parents gave you before you pass it on to your kids. I feel like before you decide to have a child, do the work,
Work on
kind of like
yourself.
work on yourself, gain some self-awareness, like so you can know, like, if a child says something that triggers you, to take a step back and
Because
say
kids
like,
will
why did
trigger
this
you.
yeah, why did this happen? Why do I feel this way? And so that your response is not to hit or to emotionally like say things that are hurtful, because hurt words matter. And I think like even when you think about you being in a relationship or relationship with your parents, a lot of times the things that stick with you are the things that traumatized you. So I feel like before you decide to have a kid, just make sure you go, I don't know, go to therapy,
Yeah,
meditate, get
because
some self awareness, learn some anger control, like do the work that you
that
need
was
to
me.
do.
And
Like, if it's, if you feel like money, like for me, financial stability is important for me. So I know that I don't want to have a kid unless I'm financially stable, because I know it's something that will stress me out and would make me unhappy. Like, learn really what will stress you out and make the right decisions, and don't have kids until you're ready to deal with it, because it's a huge responsibility. And of course, we're always going to inculk trauma on our kids, but I
let's
think
try our
that
best to reduce
let's just
what
try,
we actually
yeah, or
passing
at least,
on.
yeah, like let's not pass on the same trauma that our parents had, like
I'm all
make sure you're picking the right men, ladies.
yeah. I think that
Make
for
sure to
me,
like
I'm all for breaking generational.
curses.
Yes,
Yes, I
definitely.
agree.
So you really,
Yeah,
yeah, do the work. That's
do
very
the
important.
work.
And again, therapy. A lot of people have so much negative thought about
Taught about therapy,
therapy. When
especially in
you,
the Haitian
yes,
community.
like instead of calling your, for me, I don't like just calling people just to tell them my issues. I need to call the right person. And it's
Yeah.
always good to have that person who doesn't know you, who's
Mm-hmm.
not going to judge you,
Yeah.
really give you an outside perspective and really
Mm-hmm.
help you. So I'm really for therapy, and I don't think it's that bad,
Mm-hmm.
because when I first moved here, they took me to a psychiatrist and I literally ran out
Yeah.
out the door,
I'm still warming up
you
to
know?
therapy, but I do believe that it can be
Yeah.
helpful for
It
sure.
takes time.
Yeah.
Or
I feel like I just
journaling.
haven't found the right one.
No, you need to. My
Yeah.
friend, she actually does a mini interview
Yeah, it's
with
kind of
them,
like
and I'm like,
dating, right?
what?
It's kind of like
Yeah,
dating. You need to
to
find the
see if
right
it works
fit.
out. But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, it's okay if you have past traumas. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay. We're not perfect,
Mm-hmm.
but we can do something about it
Mm-hmm.
before bringing a kid
Yes,
because
into this world.
into this world, because that kid is going to grow and they will come back at you and tell you you
Everything
ruined
you've
my
done.
life.
Yeah.
That's one thing I'm afraid of.
And also,
Kids
it's
telling me that.
okay with ladies. Do not feel guilty if you feel like having kids is not for you.
A hundred
I know
percent.
society's making you feel bad about it, but like if you don't want to have a kid, don't have one. And don't be with a man that wants
Selfish.
one. I feel like it's okay to be selfish. It's okay to feel like this is not for me. Don't care about what society's telling you. And that's what I'm leaving you with.
100%.
Yeah.
Nope, you
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you. This was our first
Yeah.
episode.
And we hope you enjoyed this as much as
Yes.
we did. And
Uh,
Maddie,
yes.
wrapping up
Our
number
first episode.
one.
Yes. Well, I'm Maddie.
And I'm Ro, and we are your favorite new hosts.
Yes,
Yay!
and this was
Oh
Oh My
my
God.
God!
Thank you.